Do-it-yourselfers, carnivores, ketovores, anybody following a low-carb type diet, or just those avoiding some of the allergens like wheat. Today I have a treat for you, a very simple chicken nugget recipe. This is carnivore-safe, ketovore-safe. This is great for the ketogenic diet and just very easy to make and delicious. I sort of found these by accident. I wanted to update my Halloween post on how to make chicken nuggets. And I was trying to make something fun for my son who was getting a bit sick of the same meals that we were making over and over again here at home. Well, I love the simplicity of a carnivore type diet lifestyle. The rest of my family wants a little bit more variety. So I try to make them fun foods, and it also gives me something to eat alongside of whatever thing that I am eating normally. Anyways, these nuggets were really fun to make. You can make them with either chicken breast or chicken thighs. I have been buying the chicken thighs with the skin on, and I peel that off and I crisp it up in the air fryer, and it is absolutely delicious. But I will say that the thighs are a little bit harder to work with than if you just get chicken breast. If you have boneless chicken breast without the skin, this recipe is super simple because you can just throw those into your food processor with some cheese and some egg and just a little bit of salt. And you make that into a paste that you can form into nuggets and just roll those in some pork rind crumbs. I have a video up and a post about how you can make your own pork rind crumbs to save money. Although here in Spain, I can't find them anyway, so I'm forced to make my own. But from what I understand, if you buy them in other countries, they tend to be more expensive than just buying the pork rinds and grinding them up yourself. But this is very simple. You just form the nuggets, roll them in this, and then you can pop these into the air fryer. Or, of course, you can do the more traditional route of frying them, deep frying them. I tried frying them in some lard, but I didn't really notice much of a difference in going through all of that mess than the ones that I was making in the air fryer. So now what I do is I will use whatever fat that I have rendered at the time. I like to save my bacon grease, and when I cook pork, I save the lard. And all of those fats are perfect for this because if you melt those fats and paint them over your nuggets and you pop those into the air fryer, they taste just like the ones that you are deep frying, and they are absolutely delicious. And it's so much cleaner, so much quicker to make that way. The dark meat pieces are a bit trickier to use because of all the tendons running through. I like to take some kitchen scissors and cut the pieces of meat up into smaller pieces, and I put those in the food processor. I try to avoid as many of the tendons as possible because they end up getting all wound up in the blades of my food processor, and it's kind of a pain to clean. And I also don't want these bits of tendon within my chicken nuggets, so I try to remove as many as possible. Chicken breasts are so much easier to use because they don't have those tendons running through them generally. You can just cut off most of the external pieces if there's any remaining bone or anything like that, but they're just generally a lot easier to use. What I like to do, because I like the dark meat better, I will do a combination of the two. I feel like I waste a lot of time preparing the dark meat for this recipe, but I like the flavor that it gives, and nutritionally I just feel like it has more nutrients. So I will combine them, and that gives me a happy middle ground. I will buy some chicken breast, and I will also buy the boneless thighs and just use a combination of the two. Let's get to it. To make the chicken nuggets, we're going to add the chicken to the food processor. I have a potent food processor, so I'm not even going to bother to cut it up, but depending on what you have, you probably want to cut it into smaller pieces. I'm using about a pound of chicken, 1 egg, and about a half cup of shredded cheese. I normally use mozzarella, but this day I didn't have a full half cup, and so I did a mixture of what I had already shredded. I added some salt like that, but I normally add about a teaspoon. You can see my son was adding some garlic there because he likes it, but you definitely don't need it. And once we blended it up, we have this paste of meat that you can just form into little nugget shapes. Now you're going to want to form these bigger than you think. This one, I was forming it the size that I thought a nugget should be, and then I roll it into the pork rind crumbs, but they do shrink quite a bit. So now I generally make them bigger. You can fry them in some lard, but now I find it much easier to cook them in the air fryer. Here you can see I was painting them with some lard. You can use bacon grease or whatever you have on hand, and that gives them a nice crispy fried texture. I like to paint both sides, so then it's really easy when I want to flip them over halfway through the cooking time. They're now ready to go into the air fryer. I preheat the air fryer to about 375 Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius. After about 8 minutes, I flip them over. I take a look, flip them over, and put them back in. And there I will cook them for another 7 or 8 minutes. To judge when they're ready, I look more at the golden color than the actual time. And you can see here they are finished. These are the chicken breast ones, but they are still very light and just delicious. If you want to make something fun for the holidays, you can see here I am using some Halloween shaped cookie cutters to make some Halloween shaped nuggets. You may have to practice a little bit, and they can be a little bit delicate, but you can put those into the pork rind crumbs, and then you can form them a little bit more if you want to add a bit more shape to them. I pre-made some and I froze them on trays, and I have some ready to go into the air fryer. The more I play with the recipe and the more I practice, the better these sorts of things come out. But you can just keep experimenting with cookie cutters. I find it's easier to just press the mixture into the cookie cutter rather than roll out some of the meat and trying to cut it out like you would with cookies on rolled out dough. Once you put it into the pork rind crumbs, it's also much easier to form. Here you can see for the larger shapes, it's just easier to form it right on the tray that you're going to use, and then you can just press the pork rind crumbs into it. Here you can see that I was frying up my ghost and my pumpkin. If you want to make the nuggets ahead of time, you can store them in the fridge for a couple of days, but they don't keep for very long. So the best thing to do is to freeze them ahead. You can freeze the shapes on parchment paper in the freezer. Once frozen, you can store them in a freezer bag, and then when you're ready to use them, you put them on the tray. In this case, I'm brushing the frozen shapes with the melted lard right before cooking them, but I found that it also freezes really well if you brush both sides with the lard before you freeze them. I hope that helps. Enjoy and happy Halloween. I hope you enjoyed this recipe as much as we do. We absolutely love it. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and I would love for you to subscribe for more recipes like this one. Until next time.